Does that work?
Yeah, great.
We are honoured to be here as media partners to the event and to spend the next half hour or so talking about Croatia and its increasing role really in Europe and how it's speaking to the EU, for the EU in many circumstances, and also developing that position in your region where you're playing an increasing role really in how all those countries are dealing with the current situation in Europe and around the world. Croatian Minister of Economy and Sustainable Development, Ante Susnjar, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
I mean, your country has a particular perspective on war. It's the most recent one that we remember before the Ukraine war. And do you see many parallels between what happened in the 1990s and what we're seeing now, particularly in terms of Russia's playbook? Is that right?
Yes, we experienced aggression in Croatia in the 90s. I was 7-year-old when that took place, and I think every war is a disaster fact that happens, and in 2025 when we see this progress in techniques, in energy, in everything, we still have a fact that people are getting killed on the soil of the Europe, who is, we can say, most continent that is in forward of the others, together with the United States of America. And this is disappointing, and I hope it will end very soon. We don't know. We do not need any more deaths.
And this idea that Russia could keep certain parts of Ukraine is something that your country is particularly against. You think that's unacceptable because it's something that you felt happened to you as well, and that was not the solution.
Yes, and we have experience. We have experience with that, and we negotiated the reintegration of the east part of Croatia that was also occupied. First part near to the coast, we acquired back with the military forces, and there was a peace agreement that was signed, and Croatian sovereignty was recognized on the whole territory and decided to reintegrate the eastern part of Europe. So I think that the best way is to finish the war and start negotiations
about the occupied areas.
We need to stop killing people every day, hundreds and hundreds of people.
In terms of the European transatlantic alliance, another issue obviously that you're preoccupied with right now, because you're part of the European Union, you're getting involved in these negotiations with the US, you've got the threat of tariffs hanging over you. Just today we saw that those tariffs in a US court are being questioned. What is the European Union's strategy here?
European strategy, as you know, the tariffs are common politics of the EU level. It is not single for each country member, and we are calling all the time for the negotiations to de-escalate this tariff war, let's say, and we are ready to act and promptly if necessary, but we hope and we look in the future that there is no necessity for this kind of tariffs between the EU and the United States of America, because we discussed, we have human rights, we have labor law rights that are mostly the same, and we have same the opportunity for market shares, and the trade is between the EU and the US is constant, and
And huge.
and huge.
It's $1 trillion.
Yes, and there is, I think that there is no necessary tariffs for this exchange at
So
all.
ultimately, you're looking at a free trade deal.
Free
effectively.
trade deal, yes, absolutely.
But if they come back to you and say 50%, is that all organised how you'll respond in that situation, and it'll be automatic?
Yeah, many consultations were done on the EU level, and EU will react promptly with the tariffs towards the US goods.
Obviously, the European Union isn't a country. It sometimes feels as if the President talks about it as a country. You can't make decisions as quickly as a President who's very much in control and making all the decisions. That's obviously caused some tension because you're not responding quickly enough to him. But do you think that that is just part of this negotiation?
I think that despite the fact that maybe some decisions cannot be so fast passed, this is not the for this time, because this is the issue that matters just on EU level. The member states cannot solely act, and many consultations were made, but we can see that it is very dynamic. One day you have 100%, 500% tariffs, and now you have the decision of the US courts that this is not allowed. We will see what will be. But the EU is ready to act promptly, and we have consultations on a daily basis, and we will be forced to react.
Has it made the EU stronger?
Absolutely.
I mean, you're famous for having disagreements
Absolutely.
and being quite bureaucratic, but you feel this is united.
In every evil, some goods come.
I wanted to talk a bit about energy security, because that's something that you're deeply involved in. How much Russian energy is Europe currently relying on, would you say? In terms, I mean, I know that Croatia is pretty much down to zero now, which was a challenge.
Yeah, that was a challenge, and from start of the Ukrainian aggression, Russian aggression to Ukraine, 2022, we are now zero with Russian fossil fuels, because we put a lot of effort to ensure energy security and reduce this reliance on Russian fossil fuels. That is because we leveraged our LNG terminal on island of Kirk. It is operational since 2021, and we increased significantly the capacity of the LNG terminal. It was at first it was 2.6 billion cubic meters. We increased it to 2.9, and this summer we will increase it to 6.1. Just to have broader picture, Croatian consumption of the gas is around 2.5 billion cubic meters. So this is because of the solidarity of our neighbor countries, mostly the Slovenia and Hungary, but also it will be available to deliver the gas to Bosnia and Herzegovina. And we think that that was a great decision of our government and Prime Minister Plenković to build this ship LNG terminal on island of Kirk. Also, we have this Adriatic pipeline, which can utilize around 16 million tons of oil, and that is sufficient to provide the oil for refineries in Hungary and Slovakia in full capacity operating. Also, we provide oil for Serbia through this pipeline, and absolutely we through this Repower EU initiative, we invested 1.43 billion euros in our infrastructure to upgrade also the pipelines. the LNG, the gas pipelines, and after finishing this upgrade, we will be able to provide gas even to Germany, southern Germany, Bavaria, Austria and Slovenia. Now it goes to Hungary and Slovenia.
And Hungary, there are countries still taking a lot of fuel from Russia, right?
They still have an exception from the sanctions.
Are you able to compete with that price?
We just provide the facility for transportation of the
Yes.
oil, and as I know, it's 2% of the final cost of the gas of the oil, and we are able to deliver
Yeah.
them a whole volume that they need for their refineries. But
So,
decision is not up to Croatia where they will buy it in
yes.
the future.
But it's interesting how you have very much been at the heart of taking off the European dependence on Russian energy, which people thought was impossible when people started first talking about it at the beginning of the war, but it's actually happened very quickly.
Yes, and we now took a position as an energy hub for the EU, not just energy. We discussed with the Kazakhstan colleagues here that we can use Croatian ports for import goods from this part of the world, because Croatia is has a strategic location. It connects the Mediterranean and Central Europe and Southern Eastern Europe. This makes a natural hub for us, even energy, but this is much like Kazakhstan geostrategic location in Central Asia.
Yes.
So we can be the door for entrance of the goods, all kind of goods to the EU. And this is very important because of diversification of goods from Russia.
And you're also investing a lot in renewables, and that's quite recent investment, but how much impact is that actually having? How much of a proportion of your energy are you able to get from renewables?
At the moment, Croatia acquires 2/3 energy from the renewables. We have a great hydro potential. This is most valuable renewable energy. But also we invested a significant amounts in solar and wind plants, and we are dedicated to achieve this net zero plan of the EU until 2050. At the moment, I can say that we managed to connect 1,500 megawatts of the renewables to the grid, and up to 2028 we will be connecting around 2,500 megawatts of the renewable electricity on the Croatian grid. So we recognize the also crucial role of the low carbon hydrogen also, and we have a partnership with Slovenia and Italia, especially Friuli Venezia Giulia region, building a regional hydrogen economy that will also be based in the island of Krk.
And your grid plugs into the entire European grid, am I right in saying?
Yes, it is, and we are very well interconnected with the other countries, but we have some challenges due to our geographical position of the shape
Yes.
of Croatia, and we are planning to invest significant amounts in our internal grid. Also, we are discussing interconnections under the sea with Italy, and I think that will improve resilience of all interconnected countries.
Which we saw tested, didn't we, in southern Europe with Spain and Portugal having complete blackouts, and we're still
Yes.
trying to work out, have you figured out what caused that yet? Have you got any intel on that?
We have some assumptions what happened, but last summer, in the early dates of my mandate, we faced also part Croatia with the blackout that was started from Montenegro-Albanian border, and Albania, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and southern part of Croatia was out of electricity. We came back in 2 hours because we have these hydropower plants that can ensure electricity very soon. And because of the relay systems that was installed in the part of Croatia, the blackout is stopped in that part that does not go wider to the maybe whole Europe. But also this problem I discussed with our engineers in Spain and Portugal is probably based because of the many solar and wind production. Also when we take into account that we need to go to renewable energy, but also we need to base load energy to stabilize the system.
Because it reached capacity and there was a
Absolutely.
blacked out effectively.
Yeah.
So you think that's, I mean, even if it wasn't the reason, there is a risk that that can happen under these new systems. So these are the sort of things you have to think about when building up the European system.
Yes, we need to think about it because it's a very volatile energy in a manner of energy produced from solar and wind, but we have hydropower for stabilization of the system, but also we think that transition cannot be done without nuclear energy.
Yes.
And it is also base load energy that can stabilize the system. But in Croatia we are developing also the geothermal potential. It is also renewable 100%, and it's a base load energy produced 24/7. And that is a key point for stabilization of the grid. Also, some developers are developing some reversible hydropower plants, but we will see what will be with that, with great potential in Croatia, but with benefits for whole Europe.
The nuclear energy plan, I mean, it takes so long to build one, doesn't it? And you need expertise from companies abroad. I think, have you spoken to some American companies about helping with the nuclear plan?
There is many companies, but it takes some time to build. Croatia at the moment is owner of 50% of the one nuclear power plant. It is situated in Slovenia. We own 50% and we acquire amount of 16% of the whole amount of our electricity consumption from that power plant. There is discussion regarding building the other one near this one. That is something what takes time, let's say like that, this big power plant. But we see the opportunity in the SMRs, small modular reactors.
Yes.
In the Croatian Ministry of Economy, we appointed a working group for amendment our law of nuclear energy and for establishing after that agency for nuclear power.
And you're doing public consultations because it's still a sensitive issue,
yes,
isn't it?
Still a sensitive issue, but this kind of nuclear plants, SMRs, are much safer than before. They have different cooling processes than these conventional, let's say,
Yes.
nuclear power plants, and it's much safer than before. And we will see to develop this program in Croatia. We are making many consultations with the developers of the technology, and we will take, after we amend our law, we will have a public discussion regarding this, but I think the entrepreneurs and the citizens are very interested for building it because of the security of supply.
Because you get the volatility with renewables, is what you're saying, which you don't
Absolutely,
get.
yeah. And this is, renewables are good, we need renewables, but without this base load energy, either if it is hydro or nuclear or geothermal, it cannot go without it.
Um, you've worked very hard that the Asia pipeline is this crucial sort of infrastructure for your whole region. If at some point, everything is resolved with Russia, I mean, what happens then? Is this just a case of making sure that there's a system in place within Europe that we can use, whatever happens with Russia, and if Russia comes back on tap, then maybe we will start buying from there again, because it's going to be cheaper, isn't it?
We will see that,
Yeah.
but our pipeline was operating even before this war. We now just increase the volumes and our readiness to increase the capacities, but we were operating even before when whole Europe was buying the energy and oil from Russia. So maybe it's a bit utilized more than before.
In terms of the European Union, you said that that actually it's become a lot closer together and you're working much more closely together. Have you been surprised by particular countries that Croatia has built partnerships on recently because of this, unification around the battle in Ukraine?
They have their own interest, and that is why they are acting like that. But and they did not experience what we experienced recently. But we cannot just take into account just economic benefits that we acquire from this. This is wider questions. Even we have basic human rights in ourselves.
Yes.
And basic respect for the humans. I think that is a disaster when in the heart of Europe people get killed today.
And take us through what you've done, what Croatia's done to support Ukraine, because you don't have the same resources as France or Germany.
Yeah, absolutely. We support economically, and we support in military equipment. And Croatia is a small country, but we until now provided more than 300 million euros of the support. We're trying to help, and we are helping to take into force again the infrastructure in Ukraine to make these people live normal as it possible in that occasions. Our electricity companies are present with the knowledge and with the materials that we donate to the Ukrainian side, but we have transfer of knowledge also and transfer of the military equipment that is necessary for the Ukrainians.
And the experience you had in the 1990s has been useful to the Ukrainian military, presumably.
Absolutely, and now when we speak, I think that there is no more experienced military now than Ukrainians, because they are experiencing it in real. It's not for a game, like when you train. When we have some bilateral meetings and conventional war is past. Now you need to apply all these techniques and that we have disposable to prevail in the war. It's a very big story that they tell regarding the techniques that they apply in this war.
Well, hopefully,
I think they will be the ones who will teach on the academies of the military academies.
Genuine experience.
Yeah.
Ante Susnjar, thank you so much for speaking to me today, and hopefully we work towards peace at some point in Ukraine, sooner rather than later. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for your invitation.